I will call to order the October 8th regular City Council meeting for the City of Sharonville. Please stand and join Mr. Ed Cunningham in a prayer, moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Why don't we keep our friends in Florida in our thoughts and prayers during this silence? Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Buhite, please call the roll.
Mr. Tankersley?
Here.
Mrs. Sharpshire?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Lovett?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Here. And Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Thank you. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes of our last meeting as written and distributed? Seeing none, those minutes will stand as approved as written and distributed. Reports and communications, Mayor Hardman.
So first of all, Mayor's Court report for September 2024. We brought in total revenue of $21,003. Year to date, that was $180,878.97. So we are about on pace. We're a little over last year's pace based on those collections. The complete report is available and will be made part of the minutes. I want to congratulate Randy Bernhardt, who we celebrated his last day with us in the Public Works Department about a week and a half ago. So he is, I'm sure, enjoying life in his retirement currently. Lots of that going on around here, so we'll have some more to celebrate in the next council meeting before you as well. And that is all I have for this evening. Does anyone has any questions for me?
Seeing none, Safety Service Director, Mr. Lucas.
Thank you. A couple things before the legislation. This is National Fire Prevention Week, and the fire department's having an open house at Station 87 tomorrow from 5 to 8 p.m. Station 87, for those who may not be aware, is the one off of Cornell Road. Again, tomorrow, 5 to 8 p.m. Also tomorrow, Rancho Grande is having their ribbon cutting at 10:30, and also grand opening celebration. If I remember correctly, tomorrow and Thursday, 25% off. It was per their website, if I remember, or Facebook page, if I remember right. Legislation-wise, Mike Mathis is here tonight to talk about Ordinance 2024-54, which is concerns some amendments to our nuisance ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Council. You know, we've had this nuisance ordinance in place for a while, and I do feel like it's made a difference and certainly made my job easier, but it's like anything. You roll out a new law, you put it to use out in the real world, and you start finding some things that you think, okay, we need to tweak that a little bit because it's just not working. And so we found a couple of things that the ordinance didn't do a good job of addressing, and we are classifying those in this amendment as what we call public safety incidents. There would be two different types of public safety incident. One would be if we go to a property and we talk to the property owner or operator and we say, hey, we have identified ongoing criminal activity that is occurring at your place. I'm the hotel liaison. In my world, it might be we think a person in a room is engaging in drug activity or prostitution. It could be at a bar, something is going on, they're serving people underage or whatever. And we have evidence that this is occurring, and we present it to the owner, and they elect, for whatever reason, not to take action on it. Maybe because they don't know what to do, or maybe because they don't care. And so part of this would become under this amendment classified as a public safety incident when the property owner has been made aware that there's ongoing criminal activity and for whatever reason they choose not to mitigate it. The second public safety incident issue would be if there was a major act of violence that occurred at a property. Think of a shooting, a stabbing, major crowd disturbance that would require multiple police agencies to come in to address the issue. That's the kind of thing that obviously is an exceptionally rare thing, thankfully, for this city. But if it occurs, we don't want to wait until there has to be more nuisance activities for this ordinance to take place. If either one of these public safety incidents occur, what it actually just does is it allows us to kind of begin implementing measures to mitigate those problems. And it would require the safety service director or his or her designee to serve a notice to the property that, hey, this has occurred. We need you to submit a plan to the city within 10 days to say how you're going to mitigate this problem, whether it's the ongoing criminal activity or it's been this major act of violence. The one place I'm thinking of, we had a shooting at a property. I think there were, we had a shooting, and then about 18 months later, we had a second shooting. Between those two shootings, there were 3 people shot. And then in that same time frame, we did have a major disturbance there that required multiple police agencies to respond. Each one of those incidents was kind of far enough apart that it would have fallen in a loophole here in the ordinance. But now with this amendment, it would allow us to take these major incidents and to go to the business and say, hey, we need to work with you to solve this. If they submit a plan to the city that meets with our approval, then we're good and we're all moving in the right direction. If they fail to submit a plan, then they get cited to court. And if they continue to have problems, then eventually they could be cited to court. And so that defines, I think that covers all the proposed amendments. We did actually also raise the potential punishment from a misdemeanor of the 3rd degree to a misdemeanor of the 1st degree, which just gives the court more latitude on how they could deal with that property, either through a fine or possible jail time. So, hopefully summarizes it. Any questions?
Thank you. All right. My report, I've got a couple of shout outs tonight. First of all, to the Public Works and the Police Department. During and after the storm last week, I saw them out in force and helping our residents clean up their property. So thank you to all of them for that effort. I'd like to give a shout out to Aaron Hayes for another successful Sharonville Citizens Police Academy. Their current class will be graduating October 10th. So I'm planning on stopping by there and thanking all of them for participating, and thank you also to the city for helping them support that event. And lastly, kudos to Anna Ellerding and her team for the Sharonville Loop Quest event, which was September 26th, 27th, and 28th, I believe. My team did not win. I'm kind of sad about that, but I saw a lot of people out there participating, even though the weather wasn't the greatest. So if you guys didn't do that this year, next year when she puts it on, get out there, support some of the local businesses, and try to win that trophy. So kudos to Anna for that. That is my report. Thank you. Ms. Buhite, Clerk of Council.
Thank you, but no report.
All right. Law Director, Mr. Lippert.
Thank you. Of course, deferring to President Coulter, but I am requesting a change to the agenda. If we could move the executive session up to right before rule suspension motions. Just making that request. I'm available for questions if anyone has any.
So we'll move item 13, executive session, to right before item 8, rule suspension motions, unless there's any disagreement. All right. Thank you. We'll move that. At this time, are there any residents desiring to be heard before council this evening? Mr. Schmidt.
Jim Schmidt, 12215 Pickwick Place. I told you earlier I wouldn't have anything to say, but as I was sitting here, I remembered I do want to thank those responsible for making it possible for me and other people to get their flu shots yesterday at the rec center. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, council committees, community development, Mr. Tankersley.
Thank you. Let's see here, let me start off with, BZA meeting will be tomorrow evening at 6:30 in these chambers. Following that, Planning Commission will follow the BZA meeting starting at 7:30 in these chambers. I got an email from Mr. Creech today, talking about the Mill Creek Triangle Trail, and there's a draft feasibility study that can be sent to everybody on council. We've been a part of this as a city since 2022, and it mainly deals with connectivity to Sharon Woods and other destinations within the area. So I will have John send that to everybody else. It was a packet, so I figured let everybody read it if they want it, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Budget and Finance and Project Oversight, Mr. Cook.
Thank you. No report. However, the next Budget and Finance meeting will be Tuesday, November 12th at 6 p.m. in the Administrative Conference Room. And no report for the Project Oversight. Thank you.
Thank you. Community Services, Mr. Lovett.
Thank you. No report this evening. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, October 16th, 4 p.m. in the Administrative Conference Room. Thank you.
Thank you. Honored Citizens, Ms. Knight.
Sorry. Along with Paul, tonight I'm honoring the Sharonville Public Works for their great job cleaning up during the wind and the rainstorm last week. They picked up, it was really great, for they just went around the neighborhoods and picked up limbs that people had put on the curb instead of them having to call to have them picked up. I thought that was a great idea. And they, behind my house, we do have a culvert, and anytime it rains, they're out there checking it. So I appreciate that so much as a citizen. Thank you.
Thank you. Law and Public Safety, Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you. Now, there are five in October, so the next Law and Public Safety Committee meeting will be on the 22nd, 4 p.m. Administrative Conference Room. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, we'll have a call for executive session, Ohio Revised Code 121.22G2, to consider the purchase or sale of property for public purposes. Do I have a motion for executive session? Mr. Levitt, thank you for the first. Ms. Knight, thank you for the second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mrs. Sharpshire?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Lovett?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And when we resume our meeting here, we will come back to rules and suspension motions. Thank you. Our regular council meeting. Item 8, rule suspension and motions for the first and only reading for immediate effectivity of ordinance 2024-60-E. Is there a motion for late delivery? Mr. Love, thank you for the first. Mr. Schmidt, thank you for the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Those opposed, no? All right, that has passed. All right, unfinished business.
All right. Third reading of ordinance 2024-54, amending codified ordinance 521.17 to define and incorporate public safety incidents.
All right, is there a motion for ordinance 2024-54? Mr. Tankersley, thank you for the first. Ms. Sharpshire for the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mrs. Sharpshire?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Levitt?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-54 has been approved.
New business.
All right. First reading of ordinance 2024-59, amending Sharonville zoning code regarding vape stores.
Thank you. Is there a motion for?
Nope, that's just first reading, I think.
Oh, yes, you're right. I'm
Okay.
reading down one. Thank you.
Alrighty, no problem.
Keep me honest.
This one is the first and only reading of Emergency Ordinance 2024-60E, authorizing additional appropriations for legal services and declaring an emergency.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion for ordinance 2024-60-E? Mr. Cox, thank you for the first. Ms. Knight, thank you for the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mrs. Sharpshire?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Lovett?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Emergency Ordinance 2024-60E has been approved.
Thank you. I will ask, even though I see no other residents in the audience, but are there any residents desiring to be heard before council this evening? Seeing none. Are there other matters to be heard before council this evening? Ms. Sharpshire?
Okay. I just want to piggyback on President and Council's words regarding the quest on the loop. That was a lot of fun. It was wet, very wet, but we completed it, but we didn't win. We did finish it and got to the final quest and all that jazz, but we weren't the grand prize winners. Okay, and then I have one other PSA. I've had a lot of questions regarding the Princeton City School District tax levy that's going to be on the ballot November 5th. Sharonville is hosting a community conversation, and I would highly recommend anyone who has questions to come to this and get all your questions answered firsthand and listen to the district and what they need from us, or besides money, but, you know, just inform yourselves. This would be Tuesday, October 15th from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Sharonville Recreation Center. They also are having multiple other community conversations throughout the district. I would suggest checking their website for this information. So that would be October 15th, 6 to 7 at the Rec Center.
And I just want to piggyback on that. Not only is on the ballot November 5th, but it's on the ballot starting today, because early voting began today in the state of Ohio.
On my birthday.
Happy birthday. All right, any other matters? It goes for the month, so she can bring them to the next meeting. All right. Any other matters to be heard before council this evening? All right, seeing none, is there a motion for adjournment? Mr. Tankersley, thank you for the first. Ms. Sharpshire, thank you for the second. All those in favor, yes? Yes. Opposed, no? Thank you. We are adjourned.